What's going
Hey,
on,
dude.
Mac? Welcome back to the show for Sports and Hip Hop with DJ Mad Max, Live 365, iHeartRadio for the October specials that I throw every year. It's your third time being back on the show, man. I just want to thank you for always being a regular and someone I could always count on and being a supporter.
I'm a repeat offender and I'm glad to be here.
Yeah. How has this year been, man? I mean, we're going to get into quite a lot. I know we're only going to be for like 45 minutes or so. It's going to be pretty
Sure,
short, but it seems as though we were just talking. I mean, this year blew by quickly. We wanted
it
to do
really
something.
did.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on that? Because it really affected how I'm celebrating this holiday season this year.
Well, this Halloween got really thrown out of whack for me recently because I live in Florida and we just got hit by that hurricane.
Yeah, how
Actually,
are you, man?
two.
How is everything?
I mean, actually, we're safe. We're blessed. We're on like the third story of this building, so
Oh,
we're
okay.
my family and I are safe. But there were a lot of people who were affected. We're gonna keep our haunted house running because like we want to put on something for the community because maybe you just need an escape. You need to not think about that. Water came through your window. And that's what I love Halloween for, even in hurricane times. But no, it's been good for me, but it's been rough for a lot of people. So, my heart's been aching a bit for our Florida family, but we press on.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's good that you're doing that. And you're busy like every night, isn't it? From like Thursday to Saturday, you got something lined up every night. So get into this new haunt that you got going on because this is something that you do every year. We talk about a new theme. So get into the new theme for the haunt.
Yeah. Yeah. So this year is so we're I'm continuing at Fearville, which is at DK Farms, which is in Largo, Florida, in Pinellas, the peninsula off the peninsula of Florida, basically. And we're actually the only one, from what I know, in Pinellas. Um, and so I do it with my buddy Jaden, and this year I'm doing a thing called Shelter 16. It is a haunted trail, which I've never done before. So I get to kind of tick that off my haunt bucket list, if you will, because I've done haunted houses, I've done a haunted hayride we talked about last
That
year,
was
and
last
so now
year.
I'm tackling the trail, which the trail has its own challenges because it's outside and it's in the elements, and so you have to deal with, like, our opening night, for instance, we got hit with rain, and so it was tricky, but we pulled it off. The attendance wasn't great, but I think our Florida people kind of roll with the punches in terms of weather. But I went with zombies as my theme because I love zombies, and it's at a national park. That was sort of the vibe. I'm a big fan of the national parks and just kind of like nature walks in general. And I'm like, a haunted trail that is a trail just makes sense to me. So that's what I ended up doing. We got, if you go on my channel, I have like a ranger station. I got a dead park ranger with his brain on the table. We're gonna have a zombie bear, one of the actors in a bear suit jumping out. Um, it's just been a lot of fun to put together. This is actually one I'm pretty proud of. There's always things that I look back on with my critical eye and I go, oh, I could have done that better. I could have done that better. But when especially on that second night after the weather passed and we had people coming through, we had a lady that like fell on the ground and like crawled out. She was so scared. I got to chase these people across the farmland. So when you see people interacting with something that you made and that your heart's in, I don't know, it's pretty special.
Yeah. I could tell just by everything that you're doing. I can't wait to see you on the Discovery Channel or the Travel Channel. I think the Travel Channel would be so fitted for you because I remember I talked about because he usually used to go around to all these attractions like Halloween's Most Extreme when you would see these on the
Oh
programs.
yeah.
Yeah, those are classics. So I'm looking forward to seeing you really get up there. And it's unfortunate that I wasn't able to make it down there to Florida this year, but I want to make it happen next year. 100% because we talked about Halloween
That'd
Horror
be
Nights, but
sweet.
because I just haven't been in the right mind space lately. I mean, ever since I went through a lot
Fair.
between the last year, I kind of alluded
Mm,
to a lot of that earlier on this year, just with my Instagram posts and stuff like that. I'll
yeah, I
really
saw
reveal
that.
what I went through. No, I appreciate it, and I'll really reveal kind of what happened to me and what I've been going through eventually. But I think even
Okay.
if I was in the best mind space and just where I'm trying to get take things to the next level. I think with the hurricane, it would still be hard for me to get down there now. So it seems as though that
Right.
everything
Yeah.
happens for a reason. So maybe next year is the year that we link up and we do something down there at the
Oh
Halloween Horror
yeah. And
Nights in
we
Universal.
there's a there's a lot of Halloween events here in Florida. Um, and I'm lucky to just be a part of one of them. You know, because Florida really we have a lot going on in terms of the theme parks, in terms of the attractions, and we have a lot of just even zoos and stuff. So just to kind of be one little cog in that machine is neat to me.
It is, yeah, and trust me, man. I want to get down there because I'm planning to relocate to California soon. I want to get to the West Coast, but I
Really?
even
Okay.
though, man, I'll still make it out to Florida. And I love the hot weather. You know, I'm up east still on the East Coast,
Hmm.
and I'm not looking forward to it. I'm feeling the first breeze come through, and I'm like, yeah, this isn't it.
Yeah, that's tough sometimes,
It is.
especially in the like dead of winter.
Oh
Oh,
yeah, it's horrible. It's like The Shining. It's just like that, even though that's out
it
in
is.
Colorado or whatever. But up here, it's no different.
Yeah. It's like it's not just the weather because the weather if you go on vacation like as a Floridian, it's beautiful.
Mhm.
I rarely get ever have seen snow in my life.
That's good.
And so to see the snow, it's so pretty, but then I'm like there are gray skies just perpetually and like you're stuck inside because there's snow that's like 4 feet high. It's
It's
yeah,
too much.
I would go a little I would turn into Jack from The Shining,
Yeah, you would,
definitely.
as that's one of your favorite movies, that and The Exorcist. And I noticed you got a switch up in the
Yeah.
background here. You got the Dracula poster. I know she paid a lot of homage to the old classics. I saw what you were doing, like Frankenstein meets the Wolfman on your channel and things like that. So now
Yep.
you're starting to really give attention to the old classic black and white Universal
Oh
monster
yeah.
movies.
I try to watch several of those old monster movies every Halloween because like if you go right now at Kmart, Walmart, what have you, and you look at like even the Snickers box, you're gonna see the Frankenstein monster and Dracula and the Wolfman because those guys have been around forever. They are a staple of horror and of Halloween. And so like I pay my respects. There's a certain I don't know, level of understanding. Like these are older films, they're a lot slower. You can't compare it to like Saw or something in terms of intensity, but they have their charm to them, and I quite enjoy them
They
for what
do
they are.
a lot of great acting in it. When you look at Boris Karloff and Lon Chaney and these
Oh
guys, you
yeah,
could tell that they're really classically trained theater actors. It's a different level than what you get from some of the slashers of today, like Terrifier. And I completely agree with you
yes,
on Terrifier. I think it's a bunch of garbage. If you want my honest opinion about it, I'm just not a big fan of those
yeah.
films.
I was waiting for you to ask about that. I didn't know if I was gonna offend you with my
No, I
Terrifier
agree.
review
It's a
because
bunch of garbage.
I offended a lot of people with that review. It's one of my most popular videos this month, which I'm glad at least it's getting a conversation going. Because I have several friends who love the movies, and I even mentioned in that video there were several people that I know who were a part of those productions, and it's like I can respect the craft, but I just don't like the movies. They just don't do it for
They don't
me.
do it.
There's the gore is impressive. The gore is it makes me squeamish, but it's like I it's like boredom. Like I'm looking at my clock, waiting for the next time he's just gonna jump out and kill somebody, and then I go back to looking at my clock. And that's just not enjoyable for me.
No, when you overdo it with the gore, that's where I lose interest. And I just look at it, the quality of these films, like the bathroom scenes in the first one. It's just, it's so over the top, some of these kills and just some of the scenes. It's not the horror that I like. I mean, the horror I grew up to was like the Universal monsters, like we said, but like the Michael Myers, the Jasons, and stuff like that, where the
Yeah.
gore wasn't over the top. Where today, it's just it's the new everything is ruined because of social media and today's climate that we have, from the music to
Oh
the
yeah.
entertainment scene. It's just all overdone, and that's Terrifier. That would be today's slasher, just garbage thrown on the screen and just constant blood everywhere, because that's just how it is now. It's all
Yeah.
cheap crap, and there's no
It's just
details
for
and hard
shock.
work. Yeah,
Other than the effects themselves, I always think that the gross out type of horror, especially gore, is like a cheap shot
it
almost.
is.
Because it's like you don't have to have a good story or characters or suspense. Like you think of the original Halloween. I know we both love that movie.
Mhm.
There's hardly any blood, any violence. It's very subdued. It's very atmospheric and very suspenseful. You see him slowly creeping up on the characters. It's great. It's technically impressive. Terrifier, it's just boring, and then it's very gross, and then rinse and repeat.
Yeah, and I think Art the Clown is just he's a more of a bozo if you want my honest opinion because he's not Pennywise. He just doesn't do it for me. It's too over
Yeah,
the
that's
top.
fair. I do recommend the actor that plays Art the Clown. He did like a YouTube series where he played the Joker, and I actually
Okay.
really liked his. I liked how he played the Joker. He did a good job. Like when he actually has lines to deliver and like emotions, he can pull it off.
Wow.
He's a good talent, but yeah, just I feel like he doesn't get enough to work with his art.
No, yeah, I'm not a big fan. And you know what? Maybe he could be a better Joker than Joaquin Phoenix because those movies are dumpster fires. I don't like those either. I think Heath Ledger's the best Joker of all time.
Heath Ledger's a great Joker, and I would say I'd say Jack Nicholson might be right beneath him for different reasons. They're
Yeah,
very
I
different
do agree with
Jokers.
that. Yeah, I think he's the second best all time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Growing up,
But
obviously,
Heath
before The Dark
Ledger,
Knight came out, he was the first, if you think about it. He was the best.
that's true. He was. And then Heath Ledger just brought, I don't know, a different flavor to him.
Yeah.
And he was more unpredictable. And you took him more seriously, but he was still likable.
Yeah.
He played it very well.
He did.
Great villain.
Absolutely. Rest in peace to one of the greats, Heath Ledger. Uh, I mean, with the
Yeah.
movies this year, has there been any horror movies that impressed you this year? I mean, Long Legs came out this year. I think Long Legs was a total disappointment. I have not been
Oh,
a fan.
really?
I get everyone's probably like, man, this guy's just a Debbie Downer today. I just haven't been impressed with the new horror movies coming out
No.
recently. And Long Legs was
Did,
trash. Like, what were your thoughts on it?
did you see The Substance?
I did not see that.
That was my favorite movie of this year. That really impressed me. And it has good effects. So like everyone who's praising Terrifier for its effects, Substance had maybe even better effects, just different kinds. Um, no, but I can see what you mean with Long Legs. I personally liked it, but it the main character feels like a void. Like
Hmm.
there's not a lot going for her. And I don't know if that's to lean into because obviously she has some trauma going on, but I don't know. She wasn't as compelling to watch.
Yeah, and I thought
You were
Nicolas
waiting
Cage
again,
was
like with Terrifier. Yeah, you were waiting for Nicolas Cage to at least be weird.
yeah. Well, he was weird in that, but it was
He
just
was
when
weird.
he kills himself and he hits his head on the table, and it's just
Yeah.
so unrealistic. I mean, it had a strong opening with the Volkswagen, and he pulls into the snow and the
Hmm.
girls in the lawn. I said, this movie's gonna be like something you've never seen before, or scary and
Yeah.
creepy. And I said, wow, this is a strong opening, and it went completely in a other direction. I thought this guy was gonna be some sort of like kidnapper or something, and no, he's like this devil worshiping guy that like makes
Yeah.
dolls with the devil in them and it kills people. It's unbelievable.
It the one thing I can say about it that was a little disappointing in retrospect is when I initially saw it, I quite liked it, but thinking about it, the one thing I will say is it's very derivative of like Silence of the Lambs and The
Yeah.
Exorcist 3, which are
Hmm.
both great movies, and I think even the director admitted that he took a lot from Silence of the Lambs, but then to me it brings it down a bit because it's not as original.
No, it's
You're
not.
just
And
taking from
that was what
something that
bothered me
already
when
did
going to
it.
see it was that there were so many comparisons between that and Silence of the Lambs. And I was just I was
Right.
sitting in the theater. I said, this isn't Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah, it's missing a lot of components that made that movie like that's one of my favorite movies ever.
Classic.
But for one, Clarice Jodie Foster was a really interesting, smart character, and I just didn't get that from Agent Harker or whatever her name is. This wasn't the
Yeah.
same.
No, it wasn't. It was a disappointment, and everyone blew it out of proportion more than it was, and it's just not one of my favorites. And I'm gonna be hopeful for the future for horror, but I just feel like there's a lack of creativity now. We just went through a strike recently last year that was
Yeah,
big,
that's
so
true.
it's gonna be interesting to see what's really going on. We got Smile 2 on the way here. I heard you're not a big Smile guy.
I'm not a big Smile
I
guy.
will tell you this. I've never dropped this Easter egg before. I was in Smile too.
You're
I
in
never.
Smile too?
Yeah, yeah, yep,
Like the one coming out.
yeah. And the one coming out, yeah, I have not broke that to my audience yet. Well, people that are going to
Whoa,
be listening to this will find
that's
it out through
big.
this. I'm not even going to promote it, but yeah, I was in Smile too. Yep.
Are you an extra? Are you
I
do you have
was more. They put me
lines?
in. What did they put me in? They put me in this concert scene. I was in this concert scene where the main character comes out on stage,
Mm,
and there's like something happening to her on stage, and then she's like seeing all this
yeah.
different stuff. It's kind of hard to really describe it until you really see the movie of
Okay.
what they made me do for it. It's
But like
yeah.
if I watch it, can I see like I can tell it's you
Yeah,
and
I'm
everything?
hoping. I haven't seen my footage in it yet, but I
Okay.
was a part of. I worked on it. Yeah, I work. Yeah, I've
That's
been
pretty
doing.
cool.
Yeah, that's the Easter egg. I've been working on my acting bag. I haven't really been too really out in the open about it. I've given kind of hints, but yeah, I've been doing a lot of acting work. I'm trying to really break through
That's
with
cool.
a lot of speaking roles, which is going to be happening soon.
Oh,
That's what's going
sweet.
to be me getting out to the West Coast. But yeah, I wanted to
Yeah.
break that for you, man. Is that yeah? Because I heard that you're not a
That's
big Smile guy, but Smile too. I'm
I'm not a big
involved with it.
Smile guy, but maybe I'll see it just to see you in it. And
Yeah,
and well, frankly, it's like there's no other spooky movie to watch this year. It's
no,
really kind of sad. And like
no,
even if I wanted to see Terrifier 3, it's a Christmas movie. I don't want to watch that for Halloween.
no.
So maybe I'll go check out Smile 2. Also, I heard that Jack Nicholson's son is in it.
Wow, I didn't even know that. See, when they had me do it, when I had the opportunity, they just had me come out there, do this concert scene, and that was
Hmm.
pretty much all the details. I didn't find out that it was Smile until I got on set because they were like, "We need
Oh,
you for this concert for a movie," and I said, "Okay." I was like, "Put me down
oh.
for it," and then I found out right there, yeah, this is for Smile too.
Did you know that it was a horror movie, or
No,
you
I didn't
just knew
know.
there was a concert?
It was just a concert, and I went there, and yeah, it was
Wow.
that's what I was there for. Apparently, it was. I was like, wow. I was like, that's pretty cool. I mean, I know that I saw the first one. I thought the first one was kind of it was okay. It was different. I think there were some scenes over the top, but
Yeah.
hey, I was like, I'll take this because hey,
Yeah, take it. I mean, you could have been in a concert scene for a much, maybe not your speed type of movie. At least it's a horror movie.
yeah,
At least it's in a franchise that you're interested in, you know.
exactly. But this is
I mean,
this is
that's
your
cool
show,
though.
man. I don't want to take this up with my time because I saw you going around
No,
to
you're
all.
fine.
I saw you going around as you usually do to all the stores, Home Depot, Spirit, Big
Yep.
Lots, Target. Which store do you think had the best lineup this year?
Oh, that's tough. I thought actually a lot of the stores did really well this year. I thought this was one of the strongest years in terms of the animatronics, especially. Um, I kind of want to say for overall well-roundedness, I think Home Depot really came through, but there were a few at Spirit that really impressed me. Specifically, there's a spider lady,
I saw that.
Wanda, I think she's called. She's really creepy. And then also both Spirit and Home Depot were kind of innovating these new technologies. Like Spirit has a clown that will actually follow you with its face as you walk by it. And then Home Depot's been perfecting the servos and like outdoor grading their stuff so it can last in the weather. So I mean, that's all stuff I'm interested in. I really thought though they nailed it with that giant Grim Reaper, like their 12-foot whatever Grim Reaper. I think it's 10 feet, but really, really impressive with that.
I was impressed with that as well, especially the Frankenstein. The only thing I didn't like about the
Oh yeah,
Frankenstein, I thought the Frankenstein was amazing, was that
yeah,
the voice. It wasn't the original Colin Clive voice from the 30s. It was a different
yeah.
voice.
You're right.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wonder if this is just my speculation because I don't know, but I wonder if because the movie's so old, they couldn't get a crisp, clear audio,
Mm,
and so they wanted it to be like HD audio or whatever, and not like crackly. I mean, I don't know if that's true,
that's a
but
good point.
I would have preferred it crackly with the original voice
I
over
would have too.
HD of some other guy.
I would have too. And when I still compare it to the old Jemmys, it's still not the same. Because did you ever see the original Jemmy? I'm sure you've seen it. The
Oh,
original Jemmy
yeah.
Frankenstein. Do you remember that one? Do you think
Mhm.
this one
Yeah.
is better than the old Jemmy one
I actually, there are pros and cons to each. I think this one has better animation
with the
and movement,
eyes?
with the eyes especially. But for whatever reason, because I don't know, both of them don't really look like Boris Karloff to me. Maybe the
Mm.
Jemmy one does more. But this new one, I like it, but
He doesn't look like
he
Boris
looks like
Karloff. Yeah, you're
he looks
right.
like Glenn Strange more, who's the guy
Yeah,
who did it in like Abbott and Costello and stuff, which I love those movies, but it's licensed to the first one, so that kind of threw me off.
it is. It doesn't look like Boris Karloff. You're definitely right. The
No.
Jemmy one looked more like Boris Karloff than this one did. And
Yeah.
I think that was the best animatronic that I saw Home Depot. I did like this the ghost face at Spirit because I saw you do the promo for
Yep.
that when you were in there and just the
Yeah,
review
they
for that. I
did.
thought that was a nice one.
They did Ghostface. They did Art the Clown. They did the Corpse Brides, which I thought those were very impressive. Both the bride and the victor. Um, they have a Michael Myers, but it's not in the stores. So,
I did see that,
they
and
had a
it's that
pretty.
same stupid music that we always
It's
talk
the
about,
same
the
stupid
techie
music.
ringtone, the Nuku
Yeah.
ringtone that we talk about.
Gosh, I wish that they would have gotten the rights from the new trilogy to do like that Halloween 2018 kind of aged look, because that was a cool look
It
for
was.
Myers, and they just never did it. And now it's kind of like almost outdated, like that isn't talked about now. So I don't know, they kind of lost their shot with that.
I think they lost their shot because of Halloween Ends. I remember we went over that last year, but a lot
We
of people
did,
weren't happy. They
yeah.
weren't happy about it, and
No, yeah, it pissed off the fan base. I heard that there's a TV show in the works and
I
a
did hear
game.
something about that too.
I don't know how true that is or how far along that is. I don't know. Halloween to me is like it'll never die. It'll just keep coming back.
It
Michael
will.
Myers will just keep. It'll run itself into the ground, and then someone will restart it, and then they'll just keep trying.
Were you surprised when Chucky wasn't renewed, the series, the TV show?
Oh man. So Chucky was canceled during the first storm that we had during Helene. And I called my mom and I joked and because she watches it along with me and I joked and I said, "This is worse than the storm." And she goes, "What?" And I said, "They canceled Chucky." Oh man, I was pissed. I
Oh,
mean, the silver lining is I heard that Don Mancini is going to do another movie, which is great. Maybe my fear is that they're going to keep it open at the end when it's like Brad Dourif, man, he's getting on in age. I love the guy. I don't want anything to happen, knock on wood, and God forbid, but it's like maybe you should end this before something bad happens because you can't replace him.
no.
You really
No, you
can't.
can't. You saw what happened with the new Child's Play from what was it, 2019, 2018. That one was a disaster with the My Buddy doll.
With
With
Mark
it was basically
Hamill.
an animatronic robot. I think Mark Hamill was the voice.
Yeah. Which Mark Hamill did what he could with it. And I
Yeah,
think if it wasn't called Child's Play, the movie was fine for what it was, but it wasn't Chucky.
yeah.
Like that's for sure. And I tell you about Alex Vincent coming to
It's your
my
birthday.
birthday? He came to my birthday when I turned 21, and my parents just brought. It was a surprise for me. They brought all my Chucky stuff so he could sign it and like get pictures in front of it. Well, at the time that remake come out, and I got the poster in my room, so they brought the poster, and he saw the poster for the remake, and he said, "I won't take pictures in front of that
Wow.
because it." it was the one movie that took it away from the original continuity. And I respect him for it. You know, he's standing with his crew.
Yeah, I respect them for that as well. I just that
Yeah,
wasn't a good movie. I think that I like what they were doing with the show. I was surprised when it found out that it wasn't going to
I
be
know.
continuing on because I think it had a strong following too. It
It
had
did.
yeah, that's what I don't get.
But I try to factor in maybe that I'm in a bubble of horror people. Like I'm in an echo chamber of everyone who loves horror and I'm not seeing all the other people that don't watch it. Like I'm in a Chucky like Facebook group. And so every day I see like, oh, Chucky's awesome. So in my head I'm like, oh my gosh, everybody loves this show. But maybe it's not as popular, which sucks because it's really good. But
Yeah. Hey, that's why we don't get along with people who don't like horror. You know, they don't get us. We have a different type of personality and outlook on things, and
yeah.
hopefully it comes back. You never know, but it's good news to hear that there's a movie in the works, and I think the characters that they had, they can't just end it at that show. I think they had some really great characters
No.
written there with the three main characters.
Yeah, they did. And they ended it on a really interesting cliffhanger, which is why I was even more upset.
Yeah,
And I'm like, I gotta see how this plays out. You can't end here. You gotta at least wrap this up with these main three. Give them
I
some
agree.
closure.
There's been a lot of Chucky merchandise this year too. I mean, the
Oh, yeah.
animatronic this year. There's been a lot. I noticed there's a lot of apparel Chucky going around out there. I saw a couple varsity jacket Chuckies on the internet. There's been a
Yeah.
lot of things. I've like, wow, Chucky's a huge hit this year.
He really is. I saw at Spirit there's like a I don't even know what you'd call it. It's like a hoodie, but it's super fuzzy. It's like
Okay,
something you
the
wear
fleece.
like a pajama thing, like a
Yeah.
yeah. And it's like very puffy, and I'm like, I want that, but I feel like I'm gonna wear it like one night in Florida. But
Yeah,
it's
when you're out
Chucky.
there,
Yeah. I might
you
wait
don't
for the
need
sale.
jackets.
No, you
Yeah,
don't. You really
wait till
don't.
it's on sale.
Yeah, when they do the November 1st sale, I'm up early in the morning and
I know you
I
always do
hit all
that.
the spots.
That's how you do it. That's how you really make out the deals.
It is.
Did you hear about the Scream 7 in the works?
I did, and I gotta be a little honest. I'm obviously gonna see it. I'm a big Scream fan. So far, I like all the Scream movies to some extent. Like, I don't think any are bad, but I don't know. I'm not on the hype train. Like, it's just I feel like it lost some steam. Like, it's
It
got to
did.
win me back. Because they booted Nev Campbell out, and now she's back, and I don't know. It kind of got in limbo, and I don't know where they're gonna go with it. And I don't know if Jenna Ortega or any of the other characters are going to be returning. So I'm like, okay, well, where is this in the timeline? I don't know. I'll see it, but I'm skeptical.
I'm right there with you. And that is interesting because the new movies were led by Melissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega. So now that
Yeah.
they're not returning, from what I've heard, now it's back to Nev Campbell. So I guess you bring back Courtney Cox, and where do we go from here?
Yeah, what happens with all this? I don't even know. And that's stuff that scares me, I think, because the Radio Silence guys who did the other ones, they had some kind of plan that, they were trying to honor Wes and they're trying to do a good story. But this one just there's something at the back of my head that's saying cash grab. And so I hope that's not the case because Scream so far has been untainted by like a bad movie. And so I'd hate for it to get like that one where you're like, oh, I love the Scream movies, except, it's like I don't know, it's like the Halloween movies, or I love the Halloween movies, except like Halloween Resurrection, and
There's a
you have
lot of
your
those.
list of ones
Yeah,
that you don't like.
there's a lot of those. I think the
There
Jasons, there's a
are.
series coming soon for Friday the 13th. I'm sure you heard about that.
Yeah. Yep. They're switching a lot to television and to series, formatting. I don't know. It's kind of I feel like that's the wave of the future.
Mhm. I think you're right. What as far as because Freddy's, I mean, Robert Englund's never going to play Freddy again. He said it continuously. Who
Yeah.
do you think would make a good Freddy? Do you think that we get Jackie Earl Haley again?
I actually thought Jackie Earle Haley did a good job
I
in
agree.
the movie, but the movie was just trash. but the movie wasn't good, but he was good.
Mhm.
So I think if you brought him into it, I know Robert Englund has said Kevin Bacon would make a good Freddy. I I guess I could see that. I don't
I'd have
know.
to
It just
see
it
it.
feels
You got to
wrong if it's
prove
not
it.
him. He's got to prove it, but I think he could pull it off.
He's got to prove it. I want to see. That's a big time person to really put in those to fill in those shoes. So I even with Kevin Bacon being such a big name, I still got to you still
Yeah,
got to prove it to me.
right. And that's the only thing. Like Robert Englund, now everyone knows him, but at the time, I think it added to Freddy's mystique because he was an unknown kind of guy.
Mhm.
But now, if I watch Nightmare on Elm Street remake with Kevin Bacon, I'm just gonna go, "That's Kevin Bacon in makeup." You know, it's not
Yeah.
gonna register the same.
No, yeah, it would be. I mean, if they found someone that was similar to like a, I mean, that's tough to do. Someone that's similar that could play the
Mhm.
role well, maybe that would be better. But I don't know. They're gonna have to try that out if they really want to go down that road. But
Yeah.
it's crazy. But I mean, the merchandise is really out there this year because when we look at because I'm a big into the urban culture as far as like sneakers. Because did you see Universal
Mhm.
Monsters had the Reebok?
Oh, really? Wait,
Yeah,
I think every now and again I get little notifications for different Reebok and other shoes that are like horror themed. But what monsters are on them?
Frankenstein. Each monster got their own shoe. It was Frankenstein, Dracula,
Oh,
Bride of Frankenstein, Wolfman, and Creature from the Black Lagoon. I believe all of them are
ooh, that's
still
sick.
there except for the Creature from the Black Lagoon and the Frankenstein. Those two sold out. I didn't grab any of
Sold
them
out. Well,
because I'm very careful because I'm someone that used to collect a lot of sneakers. I'd get like every Jordan release and stuff like that. I don't do that anymore because I feel as though number one, it's a waste of money. Number two, I only need a couple sneakers. I'm never gonna wear them. A lot of these
yeah,
things you got to mix and match with them, and I'm afraid to wear a lot of my sneakers because I don't want to get them dirty or crease. So now when I see
yeah,
releases like
exactly.
that, even though I want them, yeah, they're just gonna collect dust in my house.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing is, if I'm gonna get it with Universal Monsters on it, I want to wear them out. But then what if I step into a puddle? There goes my Dracula sneakers. It's like, ah,
Exactly.
man. So I don't know. I'll have to look those up though, because that sounds cool.
Yeah, you
I
can
mean, I
still
love
get
all
a
those
pair on
monsters.
Reebok. Reebok should be sponsoring me right now for me giving them the plugins
Yeah,
and all this promotion here. They should be sending us a couple pairs here for our promotion. Yeah, you could probably
yeah. Come
still
on,
get a pair
Reebok.
on the website.
Oh, they actually just sent me. Here's the Invisible Man Reebok sneakers. Very nice.
Claude Rains, the Claude Rains
Yeah,
edition.
that's my favorite. He's my favorite of the monsters.
You know what? I think he is very underrated in that
He
first film
is.
there. I think he's very because I know he played his father in Lon Chaney Jr., the Wolfman's father in the Wolfman, but he played a
Hmm.
really good Invisible Man. That's someone that you cannot top because I've seen the new Invisible Man. I think it was pretty creative, but yeah,
Hmm.
that's a hard to top performance.
No, yeah. I really like that new Invisible Man. But the Invisible Man was maybe like the guy. It was maybe the least interesting part because it really wasn't about him. It was from the girl's perspective. And now that same guy is doing a Wolfman movie,
Wow.
which
I
comes
did
out in
see that they're making a
January.
bunch of Universal monsters now.
Yeah, they're trying. They're trying to bring him back because they did that Mummy movie a few years ago, which sucked. That was terrible. Um, that wasn't even a horror movie, really. It was like an action movie.
Yeah.
But if they can bring them back, and kind of give them a modern edge, I feel like they can keep them relevant and keep them alive.
It would be interesting to see. I don't have any
Yeah.
hope because I just feel like when you really try to recreate something like that, you can't because it's so classic. You're always going to compare it to what came before. Just like we do with
Oh,
the
sure.
slashers. It's tough. It really is.
Right. And there's something timeless about those old movies. Like even though they are old, they are a bit slow. They're in black and white. Like a modern audience member, like I can just imagine like some of my little cousins who like go on TikTok. I'm like, there's no way they could sit through Dracula. But for people that respect it, there's something that you just can't recreate. There's a vibe, there's a mood, and it's because it's of its age. It's because it's in black and white. That's what makes it work.
Yeah. It's definitely because of how old it is, and like you said, there's just something special about those films, and it's just not gonna work. And I even look at it from the standpoint of like a House of Wax or a House on Haunted Hill with Vincent Price,
Mhm,
because those
mhm,
movies to me, I know everyone likes the new House of Wax remake. I think it's actually pretty decent, but there's just something when you go back and you watch. Because I remember being a kid and watching like the original House on Haunted Hill, and being it was creepy like when you're a kid
mhm.
and you watch that, and it kind of sticks
Oh,
with you
yeah.
to the point where it's the remake is hard. It doesn't do it for the 1999 House on Haunted Hill doesn't do it for me as much as the Vincent Price one. It just doesn't.
Yeah, some things just they worked for their time. Like very few remakes work for me. There's only been a handful. Like The Fly and The Thing come to mind of like you took something that was already interesting and you just made it slightly different and you added to it.
Yeah,
Like I don't know,
I'm right
there
there.
are some movies that I think could be remade, but they never touch them, and that's sad.
It is. What's something that you would like to see a remake to?
Oh man. I'd have to kind of well Well, for one, this is kind of interesting. I've been, learning about the Puppet Master movies recently, through the YouTube channel Red Letter Media. If you ever watch those guys, I love those guys. And they've been talking about Puppet Master, and I'm like, yeah, you know what? Those could use a fresh, coat of paint because I don't think there's anyone who's like a die-hard Puppet Master fan. Um, so I'd say those. I would I'd be curious. I can't say I'd love it, but I'd be curious if they did something with Creature from the Black Lagoon
Mm,
because the only thing is the design of the creature, the suit is so good in that movie
it
that
is.
like you really got to get a great artist. Like you can't do a CGI creature. Like it has
No,
to be another suit. Maybe you could get the people from The Shape of Water. They could maybe pull it off. But a Creature from the Black Lagoon remake could be interesting, but I don't know.
yeah. I mean, the CGI, when you think about that, the movies from the 50s, as far as the makeup effects, are better than a lot of what we get today with the
Yeah,
CGI. Isn't that crazy?
really. Well, I noticed that you had one of the guys from Tremors on,
Oh, yeah, Michael Gross.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah, you had Michael Gross on, and then they keep making Tremors movies. Like I see them at Walmart all the time, and I'm like, these the worms don't look good. They're all like CGI. And then you go back to that first one, and they look awesome.
exactly. Yeah, that because it was real effects. It was real
Yeah.
effect, and it's funny that you mentioned that. We really went in depth in that on the first film and just how the effects were and the basement shootout scene. It
Oh,
took a
great
lot. There
scene.
was a lot of effort put into these films. Today, it's just scripted right there on the TV. Everything's all computer generated now, AI, and it's not the same anymore.
No, it's not because like when you're watching it that the actor is looking at nothing. And they're like, "Oh, we're just going to add it in later." But when you watch the first original movies, you're going, "Wow, this person was there with this prop. They can act off the prop or they can act off the mood of where they are." And it just lost. Like I think of the prequels to like Star Wars
Mhm.
and like they're walking and I'm like, they're not looking at anything. They're looking at a green wall. Whereas in those old ones, they had something to act off of, at least the feeling of where they were. And I don't know, that's been kind of lost. Not that it's completely lost. I think there are some movies that do take their time to do the effects right, but it's few and far between.
It is. I 100% agree with you with that. What's your favorite Halloween candy, man? Because I've been seeing you. I know you do a lot of candy reviews.
Ooh,
I know you do. I saw you do the Beetlejuice Fanta. That was the Beetlejuice too. I
yes.
saw that. So, what is
Oh,
Mac's favorite Halloween candy?
well, just off the top, my favorite are Reese's uh, cups, but
Oh, that's classic.
to, it is classic, but it's not a specifically Halloween treat. Uh, there have been these. So after Reese's, Kit Kat is my second favorite, but they made these Witches Brew Kit Kats. I
Hmm.
don't know if you've seen them at the store. They're green. Those
Okay, yeah,
things,
yeah. I've seen those.
those things are good. I
I have
really
not
like
tried them.
those. No, they're good. They're marshmallow flavored and they're green. I don't know why, but they taste great.
I gotta try them. I like the Skittles Shriekers. I think the Shriekers are pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, those are good. And then they have the zombies too.
Oh, I
Like
didn't
where
like though. There was one flavor in there. It was horrible. Yeah, the Shriekers are
yeah, I
good.
think yeah,
Yeah.
those are fun. I like when they
What
do that.
I do too. I like when they have all the Halloween themed candy out there, and then the
Mhm.
stores do different. I remember Burger King was doing the Halloween Whoppers and all that stuff. I like when the restaurants, those fast food
They have
places, get
a
creative.
they have a Wednesday Whopper now,
That's what it
like
is
from the
now.
Addams Family. Yeah. It's like purple.
What's your thoughts on the Adams Family with Wednesday, the series on Netflix?
So I actually am not very well versed in the Addams Family. That's something that I need to get into. I have not seen any of the Addams Family movies, which is
Wow.
crazy. I'm more of a Munsters guy. I
Oh
watched a
yeah, I
lot of the
agree with you.
Munsters.
I'm a more of a Munster. I will say this: the Munsters Rob Zombie movie was a complete dumpster fire. I think
It was
the
terrible.
original show from the '60s that was the
Oh
best.
yeah. And I like Rob Zombie, some of his stuff. He's an interesting director. I just finished all of his movies. Like I made it like an assignment that I'm gonna finish all Rob Zombie movies. And like he has a certain style that sometimes really works, but it didn't work at all for the Munsters. The Munsters was terrible. Um, but in the case of like Adam's Family, I'm planning to watch Wednesday, I think after Halloween, because if I remember correctly, it's like centered around Thanksgiving.
Hmm.
And I never have anything to watch for Thanksgiving. Now we have the Thanksgiving movie, but other than that, I mean, I'm kind of left to like, what am I gonna watch? Now I can watch Wednesday.
That movie was
Um,
a disappointment too. Thanksgiving. I watched that last year when
Thanksgiving.
it came out, and I said, "Yeah, this movie's horrible too." I'm just not impressed with these horror films that are. I'm telling you, Mac, you got to get your scripts going, get these short stories out there, and
I
start making some
I
films
gotta
because
try.
I'm telling you that you're gonna be better than all these guys that are coming up with new stuff now. Because I'm just not impressed.
That's the thing. I watch so many movies now, and I'm just like, oh, if they just would have done this, this, and this movie would have been so much better. Like, I don't, I feel like people, they like just, they fart out like a first draft of these scripts, and they're just, just revise it a little bit. I just finished, I have my novel that just came out, and it's like, I appreciated my editor sending notes of like, here's my perspective on what you wrote. It's like it's really important because if you don't, you're just in your own head, and what you think might work might not.
What was this novel about? For because I want to shed light on this. I know you dropped in congratulations on the novel, but I want you
Thank
to
you.
plug that in as far as what that's about, so the
Yeah.
audience can go potentially go purchase this.
Yeah. So the novel is called Grayscale. It's a sci-fi body horror book. It's about kind of this, it takes place in the present day, but it's kind of this alternate sort of reality where the US government is like keeping these people in a bunker and they're dyeing their skin gray so that they can like get rid of races because they think it'll end racism. So it's got like a almost a weird political
Mm.
commentary to it, but it's a body horror type of story, and so all these people wake up in this bunker and they all look exactly the same, and they're all like gray like a shark.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
something that's imaginative, man. I'm telling you, you got to get this on the big screen because I look at some of
That's
the executives that are really put in charge and they're getting paid big
Mhm.
time money to write these scripts and they're
Oh
funded
yeah.
a lot and they're making a lot of money off this. And it's just the
Yeah.
stuff that you're seeing, it's just not translating well on screen and it's not connecting with the fans. And we saw that with Halloween Ends. It just didn't connect. Halloween Kills too. I mean, we prefer
Mm.
Halloween Kills after a while because Halloween Ends was so terrible, but you're seeing with some of these big time production
Yeah.
companies are really put in place. It's just not, they're not doing well.
No, and I did not see I think it was called Speak No Evil, but I have to wag my finger at Blumhouse because I used to be on Blumhouse's bandwagon. I've jumped off for the time being because they just keep putting bad stuff in theaters. Like no creativity. Like honestly, they feel AI generated their
Mhm.
movies. And that's no offense to the people that make these movies, because I'm sure somewhere, someone along the line cares, but it doesn't come across.
No, it doesn't. Did you get to see Sinister yet? Because remember, I told you about that last year. People think that's the scariest movie of all time. I mean, they did like a
That's
scientific
what people
experiment. I'm sure
say.
you've read that, where they put all these
Yeah,
people in the
yeah.
theater, and that was the scariest movie according to the people's heart rates and stuff like that.
Do you think it's the scariest movie?
I think it's very eerie. I remember the first time I
Do
saw it,
you?
the music with the barbecue scene. I mean, if you've seen it, you
Mm.
people know what I'm talking about. That barbecue music in the background. Yeah, that movie is pretty creepy. I mean, the guy Bagul is very eerie looking.
Oh, Bagul, yeah.
There's just a lot of eeriness to that. I'd put that right up there as far as what is a really scary movie. I'd put that right up there with The Exorcist. I think The Exorcist is always going to be the
Mm.
top scariest movie ever, but I'd put The
Yeah.
Sinister right there with it.
I try when people, because I get that a lot, especially from people that know me like in person. They'll be like, "Hey, like I want to watch a scary movie this weekend. What should I watch?" I have to usually think about it because different people have different tastes, and I don't know if they're talking about a creepy, like get under your skin type of movie, or more of like a jump out at you. My usual go to is the movie Dead Silence. Have you ever
Mm.
watched Dead Silence?
With the ventriloquist dummies.
With the puppets, because that movie, it's creepy, but then it has these jump out scares. It kind of has a great blend, and then the puppets are just very creepy. It like all around is a movie that it will get a reaction out of people, and usually they'll say, "Oh, that was scary," and I'm like, "Okay, that's all I care about. Like as long as you're scared."
Donnie
It's a good
Wahlberg's in
movie
that.
too. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and isn't he
That's
shaving the whole time? I remember that in the movie. He's like shaving the whole time.
yeah. Every scene he's got his razor out.
Yeah, and he's just shaving. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
That is
that's
an
funny.
underrated movie. Yeah.
It is. It's a creepy movie. That's Lee Winnell. That's the guy that did The Invisible Man, and he's the same guy doing the Wolfman movie.
Wow.
Hmm.
He's got an interesting filmography under with credits under his ropes there. And
Yeah,
I
he
mean,
does.
what's been your go-to this year? You're big. Do you still watch like AMC Fear Fest, the Sci-Fi 31 Days of Halloween? Are you still into all that?
I haven't as much because we don't like I don't use cable that much anymore, which is kind of
Wow.
sad. Like I really mostly just stick to like YouTube or streaming, but every Halloween I try to dig up some movies that I haven't seen, or movies that I think deserve a rewatch, and I try to give those the spotlight. And so one of the big ones this season for me has been the movie The Dead Zone,
Oh,
which
okay. Stephen King,
Stephen King,
Christopher
and it's
Walken.
got Christopher Walken. That movie's really good. I really like that movie. Uh, and then, like I said, I try to dip into the Universal monster movies, and I gave the Terrifier movies a shot because it's Halloween. But now I'll stick with the Mummy or whatever.
It's better. Yeah, the 1932 Mummy is better than what we're getting now with the Terrifier movie. It's crazy.
It's unbelievable.
It's
Yeah,
unbelievable. And everyone's all hyped for Terrifier 3. And I mean, they're just going to keep racking up the kill counts in the gore fest. That's all you're going to get. More
yeah.
kills, more gore time. And yeah, that's
Yeah,
not for
I
me.
wish I could be there excited alongside my fellow horror fans, but I'm not impressed at this point. I'm sure I will see Terrifier 3 just to have an opinion on it. Uh, but I think I'll wait till Christmas at least.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to give it some time until it dies down with the hype. And then if you're not doing anything, maybe I'll throw it on. Yeah, that's when you watch a
Yep.
movie like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But Mac, I know you have to leave here. Is there anything else you want to let your fans know? Anything else you want to touch on before we check out of here?
Oh gosh. Well, I'll ask you a question and then I'll give my answer. We talked earlier about the Frankenstein animatronic from Home Depot, and we've been talking so much about the old monsters. One, do you think they'll make more props of those
Mm,
monsters? And two, which one would you want to see?
wow. That is very tough.
Because I'll tell you off the top, I've asked that to a few people, and a lot of people have said that they want Creature from the Black Lagoon, which of course I agree, but I feel like that's such a hard one to make into a prop. You know, because usually what they do is they sculpt the hands and the face and then it's clothing, but the creature is a full body character. So I don't know.
I'm probably gonna go, and I know there's so many werewolves. I'm probably gonna say the Wolfman because that was always my favorite as
Fair.
a kid. But it has to look just like Lon Chaney. No Home
Right.
Depot Lowe's were. I know though you call him the Lowe's werewolf. None of that. It
Yeah.
has to look
None of that.
exactly like Lon Chaney Jr. That's it. I think I
Yeah.
would go with that. Or you know what would really be interesting? I mean, I would like an Invisible Man, but I think Phantom of the Opera
I
with
agree.
something with him
Mm.
playing on the piano from the 20s. I would want to see Lon Chaney Sr.
Ooh,
Phantom of the Opera with him on the piano. I think that would be really
that would
interesting.
be very cool.
Yeah. How
My
about you?
my hunch, my hunch, this isn't necessarily my top, but I do really like this character. But my guess is I think they're gonna do the mummy.
Ooh.
And I think the reason is the mummy's an easy one for them to do because you just have this, you know, it's all bandages and they just sculpt the head, more or less. And then they just have him kind of moving like that or whatever. So that's my guess. But I think I'm with you. I think the Wolfman, if they could do the Lon Chaney Jr. Wolfman, such a great movie, such a cool character. And they
I'm
can't
right
mess up
there
his
with.
lines because he doesn't talk.
Yeah, you got to have the sounds from the movie or something. You got to have something in there. His sounds, like his
Oh yeah.
grunts when he's in the cemetery and stuff. You got to have
Hmm.
something in there from the original film. You can't phone that in. It can't because that's what ruins the
No.
Michael Myers animatronic from Halloween 2. You got an amazing
Yeah,
looking prop this year, and you still got that stupid ringtone theme playing. It just ruins it.
I know. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. I don't know if we're ever gonna get those quality Gemmy products ever again, but man,
Yeah.
the Frankenstein was a step up. I will say that.
Frankenstein was good. So if they can go in that direction with some of their other monsters, I'm game.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Mac, man, thank you for coming on the show. And like I said, we're gonna be in touch too, because I know we stay in touch all year. I want to make it
Yeah.
happen to getting out to Florida next year for Halloween Horror Nights, and
Please
whatever I
do.
can
I'd love to
do.
go with you.
Yeah, whatever I can do to help you out because I'll always keep you in mind to do collaborative things, especially when I'm moving around through the industry. And, because I do have my
Oh
own
yeah.
agendas and trying to do some great horror things in the industry as far as going around
Yes.
the creepy attractions. And I always keep you in mind to collaborate with something. And thank you for being a supporter for as long as you've been and
Oh
just
yeah.
reaching out. Because I did think about you. I said, I got to reach out to Mac because we've done this 2 years in a row and it's always a great conversation and I love watching your channel. It does. I stay in touch all year round with that channel. I always say it, you and James A. Janice, the best horror channels there is. There's no I always say it
That's
every
a great
year.
honor. So
Yeah.
I appreciate that. And I'm gonna look for you. If I see Smile 2, I'm doing it for you.
Oh yeah. I
For your
appreciate it.
I don't know how long you're in it, 5 seconds, so even, but I'll
Yeah, I
watch
don't
it.
know how long. I don't know. We're gonna have to see, but I know I put a lot of work into it. We'll see what
Good.
happens. And like I said, man, that's just a little pebble onto what I really have coming in the future. A little pebble,
Well,
but
I'm
there you got the
excited.
exclusive breaking news there. Yeah,
All right.
Mad
I'm
Max is a
ready for
smile
it.
too.
Sick.
Yeah. All right, Mac. Let them know where they can follow you on Instagram, X, and all your platforms too.
Yeah, I'm on Instagram as Mak Ralston, and then you can go to my author Instagram. I have that too. I also have a link tree which has like you can find my books and stuff. Of course, youtube.com/haunt former is probably where you can find any of my links because if you go there, I have my Facebook, I have my Instagram. I also I post if you know anything about creepy pastas, like scary internet stories. I have a author page on there where you can see my scary stories, and so you can check them out.
You, I might give you some new exclusive. You know what? I might give you some exclusive here. I did a
Ooh,
photo shoot at the Haunting in Connecticut house recently. I did at
really?
the real one. I did that and I did one at the Warren house.
Oh,
Yeah, those were the two things so I'm thinking about dropping those photos soon because I wanted to put it in an article because I've been covering a lot in the tri-state area. But
yeah.
something that speaking of creepy pastas, you should look up Dudleyville. This is a town in Connecticut that's
Mm.
apparently cursed ground and all this stuff. You'd have to look into the history of it, but apparently people from Connecticut are just not allowed to go there and bad things happen. People die when they go there, all this crazy stuff. That's something that
Ooh,
you
that's
might want to look
creepy.
into as far as a creepy pasta.
Did you went to the Warren house? Did you see Annabelle?
And I did not because now
Oh.
it's all chained off. I think the
Uh,
everything's in there, so you can't. They don't let anyone tour through there anymore since they passed away, and I think the
mm,
family is closed. They're still owned by family members, but they don't
okay.
let anyone in there. But every one of their objects is
Once
still in that
Yeah,
place.
you know it's there. I
Yeah,
hope at least the family will one day like put those in some kind of museum so people
yeah,
can see, because they did a lot of work in the paranormal world.
they did.
I don't want it to like just be hidden.
No, it needs to be. I mean, a lot of people don't like to touch because a lot of the evil in the vessels. So they're like, I got to
Yeah,
keep it in the case. But I don't know. Maybe it's safer where it is. You never know.
that's true. That's true.
There's a lot of evil in the world. Maybe it's best you keep it locked. Keep the rest of the evil locked in a house somewhere. Oh,
Yeah.
unbelievable. But for all things Halloween, this is Haunt Former. You make sure you subscribe to him on YouTube. I want everyone to go to subscribe to him, support his channel. This guy is really dedicated to horror and all things Halloween.
I try my best.
Yeah. All right, Mac. Close us out with that. You got to close us out with
All
your
right.
own title.
For all things Halloween, this is Haunt Former.
Love it, man. All right, Mac. Until the next time, man. Thank you as always, man. It's always a
Thanks,
pleasure.
Max. I appreciate it. Good to see you.
Good to see you, man. Peace out.
Peace.